before you pick up a brush, you want to get it in your head where you're going to go. You don't pick up the brush, get it all wet, and then make decisions. You make the decisions looking at the reference photo first. Now I'm going to be doing half the puppy's face, which is going to be this half right in here. This half of the puppy's face is in shadow compared to here. You can see the light area right in here. So I'm going to be painting over here and getting these shadows going. You only want to do a little bit at a time. You don't need, as far as, don't try to do his eyes and his nose and his ear and everything all at once. You can break it up into steps, which is how we're going to do it. I'm not going to worry about anything dark just yet. I'm going to come back to the darks. So I'm going to be doing this area right in here. Now in this photo, this has kind of a browny, peachy almost look to it. I'm going to push it to more of a blue or possibly even a lavender kind of color, just because I like those colors, and that's a decision you get to make. Now, even though I'm only painting this side of his face, I'm going to wet the whole of it. The reason is I don't want the pigment to go until it gets a dry spot and it'll form a line. You don't want to have to mess with something like that. So get that out of range. Then I'm also not going to wet the puppy's eyes. I'm going to paint those last, which is going to freak you out because it's going to look like the Return of the Zombie Dog or something. But get some water going here. And you can see I'm going to use a lot of water. Big brush, biggest brush you can find. Don't use a harsh brush. It scratches the surface of your paper. This is that Simmons Skyflow 2-inch, which is a lovely brush. And just getting the whole thing wet. And if I were home and doing this, I would probably be standing up. You have more free motion when you stand. However, this table is a little low for me, and if I paint bent half over at the end of the day, I cannot stand up. I'm bent in that position. So we'll get this wet all in here. And you want to have so much water that you're going to want to have to dump it all off. Okay, looks pretty darn wet to me. Now I'm not going to dump it until I'm ready to paint, so let me get my brush out here and get ready to go. I'm going to lay in some of my shadow colors, so I'm going to activate a little bit of the blue here. I might add just a hint of red to it to make it a little bit more lavendery. Now I've got something ready to go. Now I'm ready to do some water, extra water removal. Okay, and I'm going to test to see how dark it is. Oh, that's kind of pretty. And your brush strokes are going to be painting on the puppy as if you were petting him, which is nice. You can go, oh, cute puppy, you're cute. You don't have to do the sound effects. That's my own thing. Okay, now we've laid in a lot of the underpainting, and I'm going to work over the puppy in different places to adjust some of the tones. Like I said, don't worry about something too much initially. You're just laying in some tones, some base colors. Now, one of the things I want to do is I want to darken this part of the ear, and you want to do it with as few strokes as possible because you don't want to lift what you've already done. So we'll add a little bit of brown tone in there, a little bit of umber. And I want to, over in here, I also want to push that ear back a little bit. So on this side, I'll put some of the umber mixed with burnt sienna, try to keep my sleeve out of it. On this side, but I also want to take it into the fur, and I'm going to do this in a couple steps, but if I take that color and bring it backward against the fur, I'm starting to separate out the ear from the shadow that's next to it. And now I can do a little touch-up around his eyes to make him look more like a dog instead of still looking like a a zombie dog. And wherever you've put that glowy reflected light, on the opposite side is where you want to put the highlight. And then I'll put a little bit of an edge to his eye over here. And the same over here. A bit of glowy light. Maybe an edge or so over here. Just a hint to kind of brighten it up a little bit.